Alright, I think we left you off. Here's my my disc sander, disc and belt sander. We left you off there. I had just blown up one of the capacitors on it, so this is where we're at. It's 2 days later, and I ordered one of these on eBay, and it got here in 2 days. You know, it was I think it was in Ohio. It's not an exact replacement. And when I was looking at this, I thought maybe this was a ground, but it's just a mounting bolt. You know, some of the capacitors and most of the engines, you know, the body is also the ground, but not the case here. So, like I said, I couldn't get the exact replacement, but I got one close enough. It's 20 microfarads, but this one here is actually better. It's 400, 500 volts. This one here was only rated up to 300. So what I got to do is I'm going to go solder some spade connectors on here. That way I could just plug it in. And there's plenty of room, so I could just lay it on the ground. Doesn't have to be mounted, so we're okay. Alright, let me go solder them on and start putting this thing back together so we can get back to work. Alright, I decided just to crimp these on. You know, the ones on here are crimped, so we should be okay. At least if I have to replace it, I can just have to unclip it. There we go. Maybe I'll take some tape and just wrap it around there. I don't think this has any chance of sliding off of there, but maybe I'll just wrap some tape around here. Just for a little peace of mind, huh? Here's a tip for you guys. If you're doing any kind of electrical work and you got to use tape, use the good stuff, you know, 3M or an equivalent, you know, a good brand name. You know, I always keep a good roll around for this kind of stuff. Even though I'm just covering them things, you know. And this Harbor Freight stuff, you know, save that for your junk, your garbage, your projects and stuff. All right, let's get going here. All right, I put the switch on. Now I just got to hook up these wires. Good thing I labeled them. Come on, guys, stand back a little. I don't mind you watching, but you got to give me a little room here. All right, we're all hooked up here. I didn't button it up yet. We'll give it a quick smoke test. Call that a success. Alright, let me screw it back together and we'll get back to the business at hand. I figured we'd put a new disc on there since we had a screwdriver out. Here's the old one. I mean, it still has a little bit of life in it, but that might be the reason I blew that capacitor. I always put date on these things just out of curiosity. Put this one in November, and that's today's date, 3/10/17. So I got about 3 months out of this. That really doesn't tell you anything, you know. I mean, it's gonna be sitting here for 3 months and not being used, or I could use it every day. So I got 3 months out of that. You know, these discs here are pretty expensive. All right, let's get to work. a little warm. But where you guys at? That's what I'm talking about. Got yourself a nice smooth edge around everything now. Now what I gotta do is unbolt it and put a beveled edge on it, similar to this. This is a factory edge here. But I'm gonna put a beveled edge on it so my welder has a little valley there, little groove to put his filler in. Alright. Alright, I'm liking the way it's looking. So let's I'm going to take this top off here and go bevel the bottom of this. Then I'm just going to put a tiny little bevel on there and put the majority on the bottom because there's plenty of meat here. That way the welder doesn't have to worry too much about ruining the top. Alright, let's do that. Get this whole bolt hole is pretty close to the front, but it doesn't matter if they fill that in with welding stuff because, you know, after it's welded I could just re-drill it from behind. Alright, let's put some bevels on this thing. Alright, we beveled that edge on the bottom more than we did on the top, and it looks like it's pretty big gap, but it's not. Here's a 16th brazing rod here, so you can see it's hardly even a little chamfer, so I think it'll be fine. I mean, there's not going to be any pressure in there or nothing like that, and it should hold the lid on no problem. Alright, what I think I'm going to do now is put a spark plug in there. We'll tap a spark plug hole right in the middle there. Alright. Here's the tap I'm using. It's a 14 millimeter, and it's funny, that's what all American cars use all the way back in the 20s and 30s and stuff like that. That's like a trivia question, you know. Are there any metric parts on an American car? And back then there weren't, you know, other than the hole for the spark plug. So I don't know why. Maybe somebody can tell us the reason why they used metric spark plugs back then. But anyway, these things only cost about $5, and I always get people asking me what kind of tap that is. So I'll leave a link in the description there, and you guys can find your own there. Here's a spark plug I'll be using. I think it's out of a Magnum, or no, a Hemi. Yeah, a 3.7 Hemi, Chrysler Hemi engine. And it's almost going to get me where I want to go. I might have to recess it just a little bit, but or concave the bottom of the head, but that's why I chose that plug. All you need is a spark with these things. You don't need a hot cold plug in like that. You just need a spark, so you don't have to leave a comment. It'll work. I guarantee you it'll work. Alright, it's calling for, this always tell you the drill size, it's calling for a 33/64, and the closest thing I got to that is a 32/64, which is actually a ½ inch. So that should work too. So let's drill that out and try and tap it. Nice little curly Q, huh? Don't let that catch you in the face. Because we're going through. Hold on. Alright, we're through. Alright, I started tapping it. I should have showed you guys when you, this is for the younger guys, the older guys know all this stuff. When you're tapping something this thick, if you're not absolutely almost perfectly straight, you're going to catch hell putting that tap in there. It's not going to straighten itself out. It's going to bind up all the way through. And you want to do whatever you can to try and make it straight. And it just so happens that this tap I have doesn't have a center hole. You know, a lot of these, I don't know if you can see this, but a lot of these have holes in there, and that makes it easy. You know, you just get a pinpoint and stick it in there. But what I did a while ago was I took an old extension, you know, it's a little 3/8 extension, and cut the end off. I have it in there right now. I'll show you when I take it out. And it just so happens this one size that we're using is a 3/8 12-point socket, and it fits on there perfectly. So what I do is, if you can see, I have tiny little tits sticking up, and I have something to grab. So I got that little extension in there, and this, you know, this ain't foolproof. I mean, it's going to get you as close as you can, and that'll fit right on there. And then everything is pretty much lined up. And then you start the thing, and once you get started, you can take this stuff all out of your way, and then just crank away. But you got to try and get that almost perfect. And always use your aluminum cutting oil here, because this stuff really binds up. I don't think you'll snap that by hand, but you know, you'd be wrestling it the whole way. Alright, let me get this out of the way. Alright, let me take this out. I'll show you what I got in there. Like I say, it's just a 3/8 drive extension cut off on the end. Alright, it's cutting good. A half a turn, quarter turn back, break your chips out. Another half a turn, quarter turn back. You can actually hear the chips cracking off. So, let me continue on with this. This may take me a couple minutes, but it's cutting well. Alright, I think we're pretty far enough down here, so let me take it out, and we can clean it. And I'm not supposed to blow it out, but I'm going to blow it out, but don't tell anybody. You see a lot of chips and stuff around the bottom. Yeah, I think he's just grabbing on the chips now. Okay, let me clean that out, take a look at it. Oh, we cleaned that out, put a little oil in it, and we're pretty happy. Seems to spin pretty good up here. And once it gets down a little further, it gets tight. But once we unbolt this, I don't know if you noticed it, but I bolted one end down. I have a clamp over here, so this thing's on there pretty good. Okay. Looks like my battery has a couple minutes left on it, so I think I'll go change it and then come back and see what we can do. Alright, we got that threaded and the plug is in, and if you look in there, you can see the plug and everything, but looks like I'm going to have to recess it a quarter just to bring it down past a little bit flush, which is fine, because if I do that, then I'll still be able to take this plug out with a open-ended box wrench. It wonder shows if I have to. But anyway, I'm going to leave that centerpiece there, and then mill out all around here, and then put a big hole in the top, and then widen them holes out so that the welder can weld everything up in there. I know a lot of you guys are confused right now. I'm probably not explaining it that well, but it'll all come together. You'll see. You'll see. You'll understand it when it's done. So no questions. All right. This video is probably getting pretty long, so I'll say enough of this. All right.